Being banned from anything usually sucks, even if it's from your local sports bar for being too drunk and crying about your team losing the fourth week in a row. But while that's bad, being banned from a multi-million-dollar paying sports job might just be the worst ban of them all. Join us as we look at famous athletes who received lifetime bans in their sports. First off, there's Steve Howe. Despite recording the final out of the 1981 World Series, Steve Howe had a tumultuous career that resulted in him receiving more penalties than plaudits. Howe struggled with addictions to alcohol and other substances, leading to a total of 7 suspensions, the most recent of which resulted in a lifetime ban. But Howe successfully gained reinstatement, which would have made this a redemption arc for him. It would have proven that there is a way back from drug abuse, even for athletes. However, he was tragically killed in a car accident in 2006, after which it was discovered that he had methamphetamine in his system. So instead of a heroic return to the sport, we got a harsh reminder of the effects drugs can have on people's lives. It's a tale that still haunts the baseball community to this day. Number 2, up next we have the Olympic competitors from Russia in 2014. Russia was accused of running a state-sponsored doping program by an independent commission from the World Anti-Doping Agency. The commission described a system that included shadow laboratories, the destruction of urine samples, and the surveillance of lab workers by Russian intelligence agents. 28 Russian competitors were banned. In a decision that enraged the International Olympic Committee, the IOC lifted lifetime bans for these 28 Russian competitors before the Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang, South Korea, which took place in 2018. Grigory Rodchenkov, a former head of Russia's anti-doping department, had provided evidence that the country participated in an extensive steroid program. However, the IOC's bans were overturned because, according to them, there was insufficient evidence to support them. Now, you, and everyone with half a head on them know that Russian athletes were doping. It makes us all the more furious that these supposed lifetime bans were overturned. Number 3, following that, there's Benny Kauf. During his prime, Benny Kauf was famous for being a flashy and sometimes even aggressive player. However, the gift of gab that he possessed was not the characteristic that drew the ire of Major League Baseball. In 1920, Kauf was charged with stealing an automobile and indicted for the crime. The man spent 1 hour of GTA Vice City and decided it was time for a live-action remake. And like Michael Bay's Transformers remakes, this one did more harm than it did good. In the end, a jury acquitted Kauf of all charges. How that happened, we are just as confused about as you are. Still, that had no bearing on his suspension, as the lifetime suspension he received from baseball stayed in place, and we have to say, as much as we have enjoyed him on the field, it's hard to argue with his suspension. Number 4, after that, Michael Bay Richardson. Michael Bay Richardson was one of the most exciting players of the early 1980s and was named to the All-Star team 4 times throughout his career. The man would have been hitting his prime by the time MJ entered the league. He was doing as well as a person could logically hope to do. Despite this, the National Basketball Association handed him his 3rd suspension for violating its drug policy in the year 1986. As a result, he received a ban for life. Apparently, jumping in the air to dunk the ball wasn't high enough for him, if you know what we mean. Now, even though Richardson spent the following decade playing in a variety of international leagues, he was never able to make it back to the NBA because tolerance for such violations just wasn't a thing at the time. Later on, Richardson had success as a coach in the minor leagues. However, that wasn't very long-lived, as he ran into trouble when he made anti-Semitic remarks, which led to his suspension from the Continental Basketball Association. Years later, Kyrie Irving is facing backlash for a similar controversy. We hope he doesn't get banned like Ray did. Number 5, moving forward to Merle Hapes. Merle Hapes, fullback for the New York Giants, was approached by gambler Alvin Paris before the 1946 National Football League championship game and offered a bribe to toss the game. Merle Hapes, thinking he was doing the right thing, declined the offer. He had not been swayed by the offer and had maintained his sportsmanship and dignity. However, the NFL did not appreciate the kindness. Hapes was never allowed to play again after being disqualified from the competition and given an extended suspension for conversing with a known gambler. Now, we understand this punishment if he had taken the bribe, but he didn't, and he got a lifetime ban for it. The NFL has always been weird with its players and gambling. Just ask poor Cal Calvin Ridley, who's out for the season because he bet on some game while he was injured. What makes this suck even more is that he was a fullback. They don't even impact winning that much. A bad break for an unlucky guy, in our opinion. Number 6, after that, Marion Jones. Marion Jones was a standout athlete at the Summer Olympics in 2000, where she won a total of 5 medals. However, Jones's performance was maybe too good at the Olympics. It seems she had been taking a little more than Gatorade to help her performance, and she ended up getting caught, as most cheaters do. Jones admitted to using performance-enhancing drugs before the 2000 games, which led to her being disqualified from future competitions and being stripped of all of the accolades she had previously won. Jones was disqualified from ever competing in the Olympics again. Still, she went on to play in the WNBA afterward, which is some form of redemption, we guess. Although having your career ripped from you is brutal, we cannot say it wasn't deserved. 7. Up next, we have Chris Washburn. Chris Washburn was, in all honesty, a below-average NBA player, averaging like 3 points and 2 rebounds a game. In 1989, Chris Washburn was handed a lifetime suspension by the National Basketball Association due to his numerous infractions of the league's drug policy. Just like Michael Ray Richardson, the guy simply couldn't let go of the good things in life for the better ones. Until Michael Ray, he wasn't even all that good at the sport he played. Unlike Michael Ray, there is a happy ending to this story, though. Julian Washburn, one of Washburn's sons, made his debut in the National Basketball Association with the Memphis Grizzlies. Let's hope he indulges in the extracurricular pleasantries of life a little less than his old man did for his own sake. Number 8, after that, there's Hansi Cronje. Hansi Cronje, a national hero in South Africa and the captain of the country's cricket team, was mired in scandal as his career came to a close. Because he had accepted money from bookies, he was permanently disqualified in the year 2000, joining the long list of players disgraced by accepting bribes. Cheating has been found pretty regularly in cricket, which is inappropriate since it's supposed to be the gentleman's sport. 2 years after the scandal and getting banned, Cronje perished in a plane accident in 2002, meaning he never redeemed himself and never really got the chance to do so either. Players like Pakistan cricket's Mohammad Amir have come back from match-fixing scandals and have contributed to winning, but it was not to be for Cronje. Number 9, moving forward, we have Richard Higham. In the middle of the 1800s, Richard Higham was a respectable ball player, winning a decent amount of games and playing at a level that can be said was at least above average. However, the reason he is on this list is not because of his playing career, but because of his time as an umpire. That was an entirely different story. It was discovered that Higham had collaborated with gamblers in order to fix the outcomes of certain games to win them and himself money. Somewhat fittingly, he is the only umpire who has ever been suspended from baseball. After his retirement from baseball, he pursued a really nice and uncontroversial career, and we never heard from him again. What's that? He became a bookkeeper? Well, that just screams innocence, doesn't it? Number 10, and finally, there's Caster Semenya. Caster Semenya's case is a battle that will be highly disputed for a number of months, despite the fact that she has not been permanently banned from competition. Because of her elevated testosterone levels, Semenya was previously disqualified from track and field competition. A recent decision by the Court of Arbitration for Sport determined that athletes from comparable backgrounds must take medicine to lower levels. Semenya is adamant in her refusal to cooperate, and as a result, she's become the public face of many people's view as unfair, discriminatory actions by the governing body of track and field. We have to say we sign with Caster on this one. She isn't doping, so what's the issue here? Is she responsible for the natural makeup of chemicals in her body? Unfair in our eyes. So do you agree with these bans? Which athletes didn't deserve their bans? What athletes do you think should have lifetime bans? Be sure to mention it in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.